Hey everyone. So for a while now, I've been playing this fun little mobile game in my spare time. It's alright for the most part, but it's still way more fun than watching current Simpsons episodes. But recently I've noticed something that made me curious. You see, when I started this game a long time ago, there was only 4 small cutscenes that would play when you completed certain tasks. There was one at the start of the game, one when you complete your first plant shift, one when you unlock Bart, and finally one when you unlock Marge. Later on they added a 5th for Maggie, but then in 2016 they added a weird one. There was a new quest called The End of the Beginning that began to suggest that the first video that we saw at the very start of the game was a lie. The quest states that Homer wasn't the cause of the huge explosion that forced us to rebuild Springfield, and it eventually ends with this final cutscene.
You have completed your 4-hour jobs. If I tap you, you get a donut. I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Gerald. What are you doing, Gerald? Daisy, Daisy, give me an answer, I'm not crazy.
Okay, so there's a bit to unpack here. So to clear up some confusion as to why there's a bunch of babies in a nuclear power plant, Mr. Burns started a Bring Your Kid to Work month daycare system where he could pay babies for cheap labor using donuts. Makes sense. But this new scene shows that longtime rival of Maggie, Gerald, was the real culprit of the town's mass destruction. Gerald is denied donuts by the robot caretaker and swaps her batteries with nuclear rods. We then see the robotic assistant begin to explode. Now the scene could have ended right here with the robot blowing up in a nuclear-sized explosion, but instead the game makes Maggie step in and try to save everybody by pushing the robot into a nuclear reactor. This little event right here just gave an explanation for everything we see in the main game. And not just story stuff, this gives a reason to why all characters and buildings are stuck in the store, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So Maggie appears to travel throughout space and time, seeing everything all at once, and it ends with the reveal that Maggie is the magic Skyfinger we've been playing as this whole time. By the way, if you haven't played this game, the Skyfinger is an actual entity that the characters within your Springfield actually refer to and even build monuments to. So Maggie, or a version of Maggie, I'll get to that later, has somehow ascended into godhood and is controlling the actions of everybody in the town of Springfield. But wait, I hear you say, didn't you say earlier that Maggie is an unlockable character in this game? Yeah, but this is where the Simpsons multiverse theory kicks in. So there's a theory out there that claims that the Simpsons TV show is part of a broad multiverse with either slight or drastic differences in each universe. This theory is the best way to explain the many contradictions and retcons in the show. But within the game of Tapped Out, the existence of a multiverse is outright confirmed from the start. During the tutorial, Professor Frink from an alternate Springfield appears and explains that there's an infinite number of Springfields out there that you can go to and interact with. So with an infinite number of Springfields, there must also be an infinite number of Maggies to go around. Another thing this cutscene gives clarity to is the use of donuts. Somehow, the donuts you collect over the course of the game have this strange ability to speed up time. At first, it's chalked up to leftover radiation from the explosion, but on its own, radiation has no effect over the flow of time. But did you notice the box of donuts that flew into the reactor of Maggie? The donuts were not only affected by radiation, but were also affected by that wonky trip through time. And finally, the last thing that I wanted to bring up was the explosion itself. I'm gonna make kind of a bold statement here. I don't think there was an explosion. I think there was an implosion. Now, I know we see what appears to be an explosion happen right before our eyes in 2 of the cutscenes, but what we're seeing just doesn't make any sense. If all of the buildings and characters were blown outward like we saw in the cutscene, wouldn't we see them lying around in the many land expansions you can buy? What I think happened is, like Maggie and the robot, the entire town of Springfield was sucked into that reactor like a black hole. And from there, all of the residents and buildings of Springfield remain in a kind of limbo, waiting to be purchased and unlocked from the shop. And the reason for Homer being the sole survivor? That could be Maggie's way of protecting her favorite person in the world. And based off the show, he probably needs the most protection out of anyone.
Easy. You think? No, not again! No! Go!
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Maggie Simpson has ascended to the level of a god and is monitoring Springfield with the use of her giant magic finger in order to make sure that the destruction that happened on that day never happens ever again. And with that, thanks for watching. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, and I'll see you next time.